Hey guys, Tom at Snake River Base, and I want to talk a little bit about wing loading on a base canopy. There's a lot of discussion about this and a lot of variance in people's opinions. You'll see people wing loading down below 0.5, people wing loading up at 0.9. Generally, the manufacturers will have a recommended wing loading for their canopy, and if you're a new jumper or you're in doubt, your best course is usually just to go with their recommended loading. But I want to talk a little bit about adjusting the wing loading as you progress and things you may want to think about. Personally, I'm a fan of very light wing loadings. The reason that I like to load my canopies very lightly, and I do right now, I weigh about 175 and I'm jumping mostly 310 size canopies. The reason I like that is because it slows everything down. The canopy has less forward speed. I have more time to react. The canopy has a lower descent rate, so it's easier for me to shoot accuracy. And importantly, the canopy stall speed reduces as you decrease the wing loading, which means I can slow the canopy down even more for a steep approach without stalling it. That makes it a lot easier to shoot accuracy. I think light wing loading is also really good in an object avoidance situation, because if the canopy is moving towards the cliff, a lower wing loading will always move slower if everything else is equal, and that gives me more reaction time, and it also gives me a lower impact velocity if I do strike the object, which means I'm likely to be less injured. You'll hear the argument that a canopy with a higher wing loading is more responsive, and therefore the turn will be faster. I'm a little worried about this term faster. Faster can mean a lot of different things. Traditionally, when we talk about something that's faster, we mean that an action is executed in fewer seconds of time. So if we're talking about turning a parachute, a faster turn might be a turn that completes the same number of degrees of turn in fewer seconds. That's faster. But the truth is, I don't care about that. I don't care how many seconds it takes to complete the turn. What I care about is how many feet I move towards the object during that turn and how many feet of altitude I lose during that turn. So making a hard turn on a lighter wing loading will actually happen slower in the sense that I will use more seconds of time to execute the same number of degrees of heading change. But that slower also means that I will use fewer feet of forward travel towards the cliff and fewer feet of vertical altitude towards the ground because the canopy is moving slower and I have a lower descent rate. So although there's a lot of confusion about a faster versus a slower turn, I think it's important that we identify what we actually care about. Is it the number of seconds of time that it takes to execute the turn? Is the number of feet of horizontal travel towards the object that we're worried about, or the number of feet of vertical altitude lost during the turn? On the measures that are important to me in those criteria, distance traveled towards the object, distance lost towards the ground, I happen to like a very light wing loading because I come out better in those categories.